So my dad just got this from one of his friends. It's an Ariens rototiller. It's not the original motor, obviously. This is a Harbor Freight Special, 6.5 horsepower. At least that's what it says though on the side. I already did a little bit to it. As you can see, I disassembled it a little bit to get to the carburetor. I already ran this through the center jet in the carburetor. I was told that it starts, it runs, but then quits, and usually that's what causes that. The gas in it looked fine, though the inside of the bowl needs to be cleaned out. Compression's good, did a compression test on it. The only thing that's holding me back now is the fact that I don't have any carb cleaner. So I'm going to get some carb cleaner hopefully tomorrow before I come back and give that thing a good run through and detail with some carb cleaner. And hopefully I can get it working and running fine. And as you guys can see, it's kind of leaning to one side. That's because this wheel right here is flat. It's not holding any air, and it needs to be pulled off, and I think it needs a new inner tube. And then the lips around here, around the bead, need to be ground down, and because they just look kind of nasty and everything. So I don't know if that's what caused it to go flat, but you know, you never know. So that'll need to be dealt with at some point. My dad already brought a piece of wood over here so I can put it on top of this and get the wheel off for him, and he'll go and see if he can get it fixed. But aside from that, apparently this thing's about 25 years old, and it's had a Harbor Freight motor on it. I don't know for how long, but the original owner says it's been replaced maybe 2 or 3 times with the same motor, so it's probably quite a while. Now that being said, I did also go ahead and lube up the throttle cable. So it's not smooth like butter yet, but it's definitely a lot better than it was. And so I tilted it to the side just so I can get to that wheel. Go ahead and grab my gloves. Surprisingly, these bolts in here aren't all that tight. And the wheel is coming right off. Go ahead and set that aside. Dad's gonna take that in and well, I don't know what exactly he's gonna do with it. I know it's gonna get fixed one way or the other. As you guys can see, the outer part of that rim is not in the best shape. So probably take a grinder to that. My dad's gonna try and find a new inner tube for it. So now that that's done, I can go ahead and get started on the motor. All I got to do now is just pull the carburetor off again and shoot some carb cleaner into it, and hopefully that'll get that done, and then maybe I can start it up inside the shop. So now I'm just going to pull that carburetor back off. Just go ahead and pull it off. For some reason I stuck one of these hoses back into it. Didn't really need to do that. So now I'm just going to go ahead and pull the bowl off. Spray this thing out with some carb cleaner. So there we have that. I'm going to go ahead and set the bowl and the bolt aside. And so now I'm just going to shoot some carb spray into the jets, into the choke and everything. Butterfly valve. I'd have to go get the, well, so we put some gas in it. It's running now, except there's a little bit of a problem. As you can see, the bowl is leaking gas. It doesn't surprise me, but there's an O-ring around the bowl that needs to be replaced. But it runs fine. There you have it. runs pretty good. Reverse is not hooked up. It's kind of dangerous, you know, something like this. But it's running on its own power. Not bad for a little Harbor Freight motor, that's for sure. Not bad. Little thing runs pretty damn good. Fuel's off too, that's weird. Maybe it was just giving it too much fuel. That's interesting. Because when it was all the way on, that's when all the fuel was pissing out of the bowl. But with it off, it's running fine. It should have died out a while ago. I thought it was just running off fuel in the bowl, but I didn't think it would run that long. Maybe it was about to, I don't know. But definitely isn't a bad little unit. My dad's probably going to get a new tire for that side too. Inner tube in that one's fine. It holds air just fine, but as you can see, the centers of it are splitting apart. These are actually the original tires. My dad just confirmed that with the his friend who he got this from. But this thing will work great for out here. The main plans for it are to get all the stuff along the fences that the tractor can't get. So it'll do fine out here, that's for sure.